This is the High School Crossfire. Welcome back.
Resolved. Are you aware that the current programs, for example, afforestation, are in place and are being funded? Yes or no?
Yes.
Thank you. Are you sure that the available money is not adequate?
Yes, I'm sure.
How much do you need to sensitize people?
As much as we need for all areas.
How much? How much do you need to plant trees?
Pardon?
How much do you need to plant trees?
According to the budget that is needed.
How much do you have?
Pardon?
How much do you have?
Given the budget is what we have.
Are you aware that the money was increased from 89 million to 220 million?
No, because you give
You're
us
not
no source
aware.
of
Thank you.
information.
What is the habitat for forests?
Pardon?
What is the habitat for forests?
Habitat for forests.
Yes.
Pardon?
What is the habitat for forests?
You do not tell me about that, then you ask me again.
It is land. Is land there? Yes,
Yes.
or no? Thank you. Would you prioritize human life to wildlife?
Who said we would?
So you wouldn't. You and the animal, who needs more funding?
Pardon?
You and the animal, who needs more funding? You may take your seat. Dear panel, we have heard they do not know how much money they need. They do not know how much money they have, and they want more funding. Okay, let's say we are going to give them, let me say, a ton of trillions. Where are we going to get that money from? They have not given us the proportion of amount of money they need, and they do not know the amount of money they have. You to request for more funding, you to request for an increment, you need to have a certain level for that, so that we may increase. Even though this house was to increase money for them, how much money would we increase? Because you asked them, how much money do you have? And they said, as the national budget. And we say that the national budget, the money staged was 89 million, and then the state minister came and complained, and the money was increased to 220. Dear panel, this is due to their ignorance and negligence not to observe that money was increased. Dear panel, we inquired that, are they aware that money was increased? They do not even know the current status quo. Therefore, we cannot increase money for someone who does not even know what is happening in their country. Dear panel, they came and told us that wildlife also includes forests, and we asked them what is the habitat for forests. They didn't even tell us. We told them that it is land, because that's where we find forests. And we asked them, is land there? They did not even clarify. Dear panel, we asked them, would you prioritize human life to wildlife? Dear panel, they told us that they would prioritize human life. And we are telling them that we're increasing money for these species that have been endangered is going to cause opportunity costs. Dear panel, we are saying that we have mothers to cater for. Dear panel, we have different sectors to cater for, like the agriculture sector, the backbone of Uganda. We have these sectors to cater for, but they are coming to tell us that they are going to increase funding for their sector. Dear panel, we as Team Negative state that money has been increased, and that is the current status quo we staged. Therefore, we cannot increase more money just even today. We increase more money, yet money has been increased. Even next year, they're going to come and tell us, increase money. Even the other day, they're going to come and tell us that, increase money. Therefore, we as Team Negative stand to win this debate. I rest my case.
Is it true that wildlife encroaches on private land?
Yes, it does.
Thank you. Is it true that wildlife can actually take human life?
Plants don't.
Pardon?
Forests don't.
Thank you. Is it true that tourism is one of the major contributors to Uganda's economy?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Is it true that the available funds can only facilitate for what's in place?
According to understanding, but they facilitate everything needed for conservation.
Yes or no? That's the deal. Do you believe victims should be compensated?
What victims?
The victims that have been endangered by the animals that
they are
attack
already
them.
being compensated
Thank you.
for.
Do you believe one of your speakers came here and told us that you have a body in place that is doing sensitization?
Yes, Wildlife Education Center.
Yes or no? Has sensitization,
yes.
Do you believe, is it true that sensitization by that body has been effective?
Yes, it has.
Oh my God. Now, you can take your seats. That's it I want to
Thank
ask.
you.
So now they come and ask us, how much money do we have at hand? And we tell them, according to the current budget, we have 181 billion as the current money. Now, for them, they think we want the whole budget. No. What we are trying to front here is, even if it's just 1%, even if it's just 0.1% of increment for this conservation, it will be enough. That they do not understand. Now, we come here and they front for corruption, and whatsoever. Now we ask them, how is corruption going to fight poaching? Because we see one of the ways these animals are being endangered is through whatever poaching. But we ask them, they do not relate their corruption to how it's solving poaching. How is that solving poaching? They leave us in the open. Now, they come here and tell us they are going to fight corruption, but how? And who is being corrupt? How are they doing it? What's their work plan in fighting corruption? They just leave that there. They just keep on telling us their lies. Now, they come and talk about wildlife, only believing, as their first speaker believes, wildlife is only referring to animals. I would love to inform you, it's both wildlife and animals. So you ask, how is afforestation helping in conservation? How is reforestation helping in conservation? We are replanting the other wild species of plants that are in place. Now we come and tell you, for us, we tell you the need. Why do we need the money? We tell you we need to compensate for these people that have been affected. We tell you we need to deploy more game rangers to reinforce these laws that are against poaching. We tell you we need the money to harmonize with the local community that has been affected. Now, these people, the negatives don't understand. They keep claiming money is enough, but they don't understand. Money in the budget is only put up for what is available. Now, we are trying to show you areas have wildlife that is not being conserved or is not in game park. So we need this extra money to gazette these animals that are available, that are in areas that are not gazetted yet. Now we tell you we need this money to put up protective systems for these animals. We need this money to track where the animals are, deploy more game rangers, but they do not understand that. Now, we come here and show you. We tell you why we need the money, why we need the raise. Then we come and show you what are the benefits. We show you how is conserving these endangered animals helping to the economy of the country, which we see. Now they come and tell us that they compare human life versus wildlife. They ask me, who should we cater for more? Now we are catering for the first endangered. We are dealing with what is at hand. Now we cannot protect human life if we are not safeguarding them from what is endangering them. At the end of the day, even if we protect human life, we are leaving out what is causing the problem. So, in tonight's debate, we prove to you. We show you. For them, they do not tell us why are they refusing to increase the money. That they fail to prove to us the burden. Now, but first we prove why we need the money. Thank you.
Thank you so much. To begin with, I will begin by appreciating both teams, Team Affirmative and Team Negative. This is what we mean by octos at high school Crossfire. The competition, the level of submission, the level of confidence, the statistics given, the content given, and the level of competition that all teams put up. That's what it means by high school Crossfire, being the best debate platform in this country. To start with, I'll start by a matter of correction. Truth is, according to the www.newvision.co.ug, the budget to the tourism industry was increased to 220 billion. However, this is a debate and this is not just a local argument, meaning whatever you speak with authority. So, Team Negative, personally, I don't take this on record. Why? Because you failed to substantiate the source of information from which you got this. So, you're giving any statistics, you're giving any precedent, and failure to give a source of information is considered to be a personal point of view and just an allegation. So it's not on record, but it is a point that needs to be worked on, or it's a correction. Number two, ladies and gentlemen, just as it is in the courts of law, in the courts of law we have the prosecution. In debate we have the Team Affirmative. Always Team Affirmative, you have the burden to prove your case beyond reasonable doubt. To the fact that at the end of the day you establish what they call a prima facie case. What do I mean by prima facie case? A prima facie case, I mean you bring all the evidence that, looking at the evidence you have given, the precedents, the illustrations, the statistics, the source of information, the evidence At the end of the day, if the opponent team is not given a chance to speak, the House, the judges, and everyone listening will be moved by the case that you have substantiated, or everyone will be persuaded or convinced to advocate for what you are advocating for. So meaning, by having the burden to prove beyond reasonable doubt, is that at the end of the day, you are meant to convince everyone here that what you are talking about is the right thing, but nothing else but the right thing. That one now means that now, team negative, you have the burden of refutal. If you don't agree with what team affirmative has said, then justify why you don't agree with it. Ladies and gentlemen, today's resolution, we had team affirmative advocating for increment in funds so as to protect the endangered species. That was their policy. And team negative came up with a policy of saying no. By virtue that we have already seen that the money was increased from 89 to 220, that money is already enough. So what is the main issue? The main issue is not to increase any more funds since the funds already increased. But what should we do? Let us fight the corruption. Because in their case was, why should we increase funds when there is nothing to do with accountability? Second issue. Team negative said, I'm now going to team negative now, team per team. Team negative substantiated. After team affirmative, of course, advocating for the increment. Team negative said, actually, we are not against, or we concede to the fact that there are endangered species which need to be protected. But our issue is, if money has already been raised, and if there is no accountability, then how sure are we that even if we increase the money without accountability, we shall have these endangered species being protected? You asked for their work plan. They gave you the Auditor General. They talked about the State House Anti-Corruption Unit, which they will use to fight corruption. Now, likewise to you, what I never heard from Team Affirmative, you did not make any refutation to their issue of corruption. Yes, you said the issue is sensitization. They came and told you, actually, you're talking about sensitization, but what is the role of work? And that is the main issue, work. Yes, you talked about afforestation. Then they told you we already have the NEMA, meaning the funds already there, but it's just that these people have been given the funds, but they have failed to utilize the main intention of the funds being given.
So this was a beautiful debate, honestly speaking. I was very pleased. Now, moving into the debate. Team Affirmative, you gave a house as Uganda Wildlife Authority and Ministry of Finance and other non-government organizations as your funding bodies, right? Then Team Negative came up and pointed out that over the years, you have actually received funds from non-government organizations as donations. Then, they also told you, after the budgetary allocation, this very financial year, you were added another 33.3 billion Ugandan shillings. So, why do you, trust me, in this entire debate, the only thing you had to do was to show us how endangered these species are. To the extent that in between there you got confused and you started saying the animals are endangering the people. Fourth, a farmer. So in the end, you forgot about the endangered species. The fourth, a farmer. In your speech, you said the people, the animals, are endangering the people. So all you needed to do in this entire debate was to convince us that these animals are endangered species. Personally, I even noted down First a farmer's speech. I was very pleased when he stated out the endangered species. You know, in the Constitution, they actually put out the endangered species of Uganda. They put out the endangered species of Uganda. So I was pleased when he said that. I actually saw that you people knew what you wanted, and all you had to do was to convince us that these animals are endangered and are about to be extinct to the extent that we need more money to protect them. That's all you had to do.
Team Affirmative, I'll go straight to my comments for both teams and direct to the marks. Now, I felt from first Affirmative, you actually did a very good job at pointing out the existent problems in the status quo. And as a matter of fact, at first speaker level, I felt you were actually in the lead of that debate. Unfortunately, debating is a team sport. Are we together? The burden that you actually start is actually supposed to be carried by the entire team. So now, along the way, I recognize the fact that the other members pointed out the fact that tourism has actually been a key sector to Uganda as an economy, which was actually the job half done for what you had to present. But now the problem came in when Team Negative raised the question of, yes, we agree we need to conserve that wildlife. But then we have given you guys a lot of money. We have added you people more money. And we want you to at least account and show us that the money you gave us was spent in such and such a way. And for us to achieve the required goals, we require this amount of extra funding. Because how do you come to inquire from me for extra funds and I ask you, how much more should I give you? And you tell me, even if you add me a 0.1 of the budget, a 0.5, what do you mean I add you a 0.1 or 0.5? You have got to have, by the time you come to try and seek for more funds, it means you know the goals you're actually trying to achieve. Are we together? And by the time you're actually stating a work plan in that manner, meaning you know how much funding, or at least you must have an idea of how much money you need to achieve these goals.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, our motion today was the government should increase funding for wildlife conservation efforts to protect endangered species. Keywords here: 1, increasing the funds; 2, wildlife conservation efforts to protect endangered species. Trust me, when I hear endangered humans, I come back to my judges and I be like, what did I just hear? Now, let me ask you a question. Third, a farmer. Did you mention anything about setting up satellites? Thank you. A good work plan sometimes involves on how are you going to effect it. When you bring a work plan that you leave all the judges in a quagmire, you leave all the judges asking questions, what do we do? It leaves the burden now to you as Team Affirmative to come and prove beyond every reasonable doubt that whatever we are advocating for is the truth and we are standing for the truth. They ask you from point 1, where do you want the money for? 2, how are we answering the question of corruption? They gave you a point that Uganda is the second spot after Nigeria in terms of corruption. I love the sensitization of the first speaker of the negator. He told you, the money, we are not going to take it as to the baboons. It looked as a joke, but he told you we are not taking money to the baboons and tell them, listen, quarter cent. This money is given to human beings who have blood and everything that is running through them. Question of corruption, how do we solve them? You came with a good strategy. We are going to have state house. Did it state house? Anti-corruption unit. Guys, I was expecting you to put more nails on the last coffin in that kind of analogy. But you left it like that, the answering of corruption. No one talked about it. You people even started talking about endangered humans. Trust me, you said if a lion comes and kills a human, we are not talking about human beings. We are into endangered species. Content, ladies and gentlemen, all of you have been together. Content, you have been putting on contents. I've been following through. Any content you mention, I go through to look and access the validity. I gave you 2018 strategy, and that's where the problem comes from. Where Team Negators answer 70% to me, and Team Affirmative, you answer 67% to me.
I want to appreciate both teams. It has actually been a very good debate, but I would also like to advise you, why should we debate? When you come in a debate room, make sure you are able to convince the audience with your plan, understanding the resolution and interpreting it very well, which you did it. But somehow, somewhere, there are farmers You came and started very well. And I like your third speaker. She was good, and all of you also tried. The fourth speaker tried to come and give us some statistics, but that was late. It should have started right from the first speaker. Now, what does it mean? We need to know our speaker roles, and you should speak the same language from the first speaker up to the last. You should also understand the key words in the resolution. And in this case, in this motion, the government should increase funding for the wildlife conservation to protect the endangered species. This was well done by the first speaker. But we also wanted to know how you are going to protect it. And if you needed fund, how much fund? That question kept coming up, which you failed really to explain to us and to convince us. Now listen to my marks. On style, I gave you 15. All of you did your best as far as style is concerned. You need to keep it up. On content, I gave both 25. Now where you differ is on strategy, where you fail to convince us on how much you really needed to be increased and why. Thank you. And on that note, the total marks for Affirma 66 and Negators 67. It was a unanimous vote that the Negators take the win. Thank you.